it's Christina Dune. Good morning. It's time for your Married at First Sight New Zealand Season 2, Episode 12 recap. Well, before we get into the show, we got to see Yuki on the project. Kenoa and Lloyd got to get a new do from Yuki, and of course Josh had to make his impromptu peekaboo. He's such a nutter. Anyway, we got a juicy tidbit that there was going to be some huge news coming. Well, on with the recap. Last time we saw Wayne and Ksenia leave, as well as Audie and Gareth. Julia and Dave said stay, but still no spark. Dan and Yuki are worrying about their future, and Sam was ready to end it with Taylor. Frasier, of course, was broken up about things probably not working out, and he was brought to tears. Well, we join back again. We go to Sam and Taylor. Sam says, let's end this today. Taylor's sad, but he feels they are making a united decision. We see Sam tear up too. It's sad to see them end it, but hopefully they've both learned a lot from this experiment. And they seem to part as friends, and they hug. Well, then Julia talks to Dave about the recommitment ceremony, suggests they go see a clairvoyant together. He's keen to give it a go. They go see the psychic. She says they are well connected, but not quite. She says the relationship is lacking consummation. Well, duh. Julia says, yeah, and that's on her end. The lady gives them advice and says she sees Dave do something quite out of character that will be liberating. And they part. Dave looks sad. And Dave, you know what? Oh, I just want him to find somebody, because, if I wasn't married, I'd be like, I'd give him a shot, hey. He seems like a really nice guy. Anyway, I just love him. I hope Dave is happy in the future. Anyway, Julia says she's done and over this whole thing. They part. Julia's time away has had her shook up. She wonders if more time will help. Dave says he wishes that he had more one-on-one time with her. But he says he wants something consistent. And he says in terms of commitment, she just wasn't there. Dave says of everything they've talked about, she has still given no reason for why she isn't attracted to him. And he looks pretty much defeated. On to Dan and Yuki. They have to say goodbye. She says it's only an hour away by plane. So it's not too bad. Speaking of planes, one's flying over now. Dan says at this point they've done everything they possibly can. Later, we see Yuki missing Dan more than she thought she would. She looks, though, through her mementos from him. Dan says he misses not being with her. Yuki wonders if the time apart will make him change his mind. Dan seeks advice from friends regarding their living situation and long-distance relationship. Frasier and Monique, well, they hug and say goodbye for now. Monique says she really cares about him as a person, but, still no spark. Frasier seeks advice from a friend as well. He says he's been heartbroken in the past and he's scared. He's seen red flags in this, and in the past for the same thing he would have run. He wants to know if he's fitting in with her as a friend or as a partner. We see Monique. She is having regret. She says she wasn't investing as much because she wasn't sure at first, So, of course, you're going to second guess things. All right, final countdown. Who's going to keep trying out things going for our three couples left? Well, Dan is nervously waiting. In comes Yuki, all smiles. Yuki says she was in love at first sight, and he's everything she ever wanted. She says she promises to love and trust him more every day. Dan says he wanted to find his best friend, and he says on his wedding day he felt like he found it all. They have the challenge of the long distance and making it work. They then hug and kiss, and they talk about looking forward to their future. Monique and Frasier's turn. Monique reflects on how this has changed her life, and she couldn't have banked on how hard this would be emotionally. Frasier arrives. They compliment each other, hug, and Monique says, let's do this. Monique lists some fun facts about Frasier. She says she has learned how to be a better person from him. She says she is still unsure if they will ever build anything, but she wants to keep going to see what happens after the chaos. She says, if you're game, I'm game too. Frasier thanks her for going through this with him. He said he came with high hopes and low expectations, and she's met them. Most importantly, she's always been honest and had his back. He mentions the missing spark. He mentions the red flags, and the scary music starts, as they do. And then, of course, they cut to commercial. Well, then he says, yet he recognized his past manner of dating was that he left when the going got tough. And he says he is taking a leap of faith and going to try the next chapter with her. He says, whatever happens, he will always support her and always be her Fraser Lee. She says they just want to make sure and see what happens in the real world. And of course, we wish them luck. Finally, Julia and Dave, they hug and cry before it even starts. He tries to take her hand, but she shakes it off. He says he was nervous prior to the wedding, but after seeing her, he was relieved. But as time went on, he was left wanting to be the man for her, and that didn't happen. And my spin cycle of my washer is starting now, too. And there's the plane again. He said he could feel her pull away. He stayed longer than he wanted to for her. He said he's given her time, and she hasn't used that time to better them as a couple. He's basically saying goodbye. Julia talks about what a great guy he is and how compassionate he is and how he always had her back. She's crying and says he has become a lifelong friend. They hug, but we knew it wasn't going anywhere. Why she is so upset, I don't know. She wasn't planning on staying either. Dave said that's sad because they both really wanted to find the person of their dreams, but here they are, done, you know. Now, can we please get Dave on The Bachelor or something? Seriously? I bet he would actually pick someone, you know. I'm just saying. Let's find Dave a missus. That's our plan now, folks. Anyway, it's reunion time. Monique reflects that she wishes she had been more open at the time, and Fraser said their vows are still open-ended. Julia says she wants to talk to him. She says he put her down. But again, I heard nothing that would be hurtful, so I don't know if that was lost in the edit or if she just completely took it the wrong way. We don't know. What was it that she was so upset about? I mean, is it because he just called it like he saw it and she didn't like that? That's just it. I don't understand why she got so upset about it. Anyway, Ksenia says she was disappointed. Wayne says it didn't work out, but maybe next time. Gareth and Wayne have a bromance that is quite hot and heavy. And in fact, they have an announcement for the group later. Audie says she was true to herself and she's happy with how things have panned out. Sam and Taylor have gone back to life and are moving along. They both seem excited to see the others. Sam and Taylor have actually grown closer since they parted that day, and they're actually giving it a real go. So isn't that exciting? You know, once they get out of the chaos, they were able to they talk to each other every day and they just kept going. So it's nice that once they were able to step back from everything, that I have high hopes for him. Dan and Yuki are worried that some people may be angry or touchy at the reunion. Dan and Yuki arrive to the party and get some champagne. Audie arrives, and of course they chat. The experts say that Audie can hold her own. Dave arrives. They ask what happened. Dave is just basically honest. Tony says he's straight into it and has something to say. Ksenia arrives. Monique and Fraser. The bromance arrives. Wayne and Gareth, of course. Wayne and Gareth are moving to Auckland together and getting an apartment. I know. They finally found someone. Now, granted, it's not their partner, but at least they've got a bromance. But you know, Audie seems really upset by this, and she walks out. So I don't know what happened there. Julia arrives, and the experts wonder if Dave will shut down when she's there. Monique and Fraser tell them they decided to keep trying in the real world, but they're parting as friends. But if they're both single at 34, they'll get married again. Julia and Dave start to talk, and of course, Sam zooms right in. The experts, they notice that, and they talk about it. Julia is taking things completely out of context, in my opinion, because I don't understand what she heard that got her so upset. She said she felt like Dave threw under the bus, but I didn't hear anything that said he threw under the bus. He was just saying, this is how it is. And it's not like he was calling names or upset or anything. He just was calling it like it was. I don't know. But to me, it seemed like she took things a bit out of context, and she starts to get animated. Well, apparently next time we're going to get some rudeness, some tears, and a bunch more chaos. Imagine that. Go figure. Well, that wraps things up for your Married at First Sight New Zealand Season 2, Episode 12 recap. We'll see you next time. Yeah, can you believe it? There's still more. I know, right? So we'll see you then.